Ever get that feeling like, whoa, hold on, is the world about to change overnight? Today, we're going to dive into a market that's doing just that, lithium-ion batteries. And this isn't just, about your phone battery or laptop. This is impacting almost every industry out there. You sent over some research on this, and wow, some of these predictions, I was floored.
Yeah, I think buckle up is the right phrase here because we're about to unpack a report that says the demand for these batteries is going to absolutely explode. We're talking like 7 times bigger by 2030.
7 times. Seriously, that's got to be more than just people wanting the latest smartphone, right?
Oh, yeah, way bigger than smartphones.
Yeah.
This surge, it's mostly because of the electric vehicle revolution that's happening. Just think, the report says the global EV market is going to hit, get this, $1.66 trillion by 2030. Trillion with a T.
Okay, so more and more people are going to want electric cars, which means they need these powerful batteries, right? So who's making them all? Anyone we know.
Right now, China's running the show. The report estimates they'll have a massive 70% control of the global lithium-ion battery manufacturing by 2030. Like, imagine, for every 10 batteries powering our future, 7 are coming from China. That's a lot of influence.
Wow, that's huge. So is anyone else even trying to compete, or is China just going to run away with this whole thing?
Oh, other countries are definitely trying to get in on this. Germany, for example, they're investing a ton in EV battery production. They're aiming for something like 11% of the global market share by 2025.
That's like a whole global race then. But here's the thing. With everyone wanting these batteries, is there even enough lithium to go around?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The report says even if we triple the global lithium supply by 2030, we might still be short. Like, we're talking 2.3 to 2.45 million metric tons short.
So we need to find more lithium, but then there's the environmental impact from all that mining. Not exactly a simple solution.
Exactly. And investors are really starting to pay attention to that. Everyone's concerned about ethical and environmentally responsible sourcing these days. These mining companies are under a lot of pressure to show they're operating sustainably. And it's not just about appearances anymore. These factors actually influence investment decisions now.
Makes sense. Can't exactly solve one crisis by creating another one. So what's the alternative? Is there a way to get this lithium without, harming the planet in the process?
Well, there's some really interesting possibilities emerging. The report highlights this thing called geothermal brine extraction, and it could be a game changer. It uses naturally occurring lithium-rich brines, so it's way less impactful than traditional mining.
That's promising. But even if we figure out the mining issue, what happens to all these batteries when they die? Are we all just going to be buried under mountains of battery waste?
That's where the whole circular economy idea comes in. Instead of just chucking old batteries, we're moving toward recycling and reusing those precious components. In fact, the report predicts that by 2031, the battery recycling market is going to be worth something crazy, like $35 billion.
$35 billion. Wow. Sounds like battery recycling might be the next gold rush. What's driving that kind of growth?
Well, for one thing, you can recover a huge amount of those important minerals like lithium, cobalt, nickel through recycling. That means less need to mine virgin materials, which is obviously better for the environment, and it makes the whole supply chain more sustainable.
Talk about a win-win. Helps the planet and creates a whole new industry. Speaking of sustainability, I remember the report mentioned something about battery prices actually going down. What's up with that?
You're right. Even with this huge demand, the price of lithium-ion battery packs actually dropped a significant amount in 2023. They hit a record low of $139 per kilowatt hour, which is a 14% decrease.
Wow, that's a game changer, especially if we're talking about making electric vehicles more affordable, something everyone can actually buy. What's causing that price drop?
It's kind of a perfect storm of different factors. First, you've got economies of scale kicking in. As more factories are built and production ramps up, the cost per unit goes down.
So basically, the more batteries they make, the cheaper each one gets. Makes sense.
Exactly. And on top of that, there's been a huge surge in investment for battery production technologies, which means more efficient manufacturing and, even lower costs.
So we've got this crazy combo, huge demand, more production, and the prices are actually going down. No wonder everyone and their brother wants in on this lithium-ion action. But let's, zoom out for a second. We've talked a lot about electric vehicles, but what about all the other stuff that uses this technology? I remember seeing something about BES in the report.
Oh yeah, BASS. That's battery energy storage systems. They're becoming super important for bringing renewable energy like solar and wind power into the grid. Think of them like giant batteries that can store all that extra energy that's generated when the sun is shining or the wind is blowing.
So instead of having all that renewable energy go to waste, we can store it and use it later when we need it. That's pretty cool. How much of these BS things actually grown, by the way?
It's pretty incredible. In 2022 alone, there was a massive 43 gigawatt hours of BS capacity added globally, and the projections going forward are even wilder. By 2030, we could be talking about a global BS capacity of over 400 gigawatt hours.
Those are some big numbers. It sounds like BSS could be a really important part of creating a cleaner energy future. But with all this talk about, the global picture, I'm curious, what does this actually mean for me, or for anyone listening? What should we be taking away from all of this?
Right. How does this affect us in our everyday lives?
Yeah.
Right. Well, first off, I think it's important to keep an eye on that battery recycling sector we talked about. It's not just about the growth, which is already huge, but what it means for the future. As those recycling technologies keep getting better, it could create whole new industries and jobs. We're not just talking about cleaning up the planet here, we're talking about building a whole new economy.
That's a really interesting point. It's about seeing how taking care of the environment can actually lead to economic growth, too.
Cool. What else should our listeners be thinking about? Well, remember how we talked about China basically running the battery manufacturing game right now? The report actually suggests that this might not last forever. As other countries, like Germany, ramp up their own production and pour money into research, we could see things shift around a bit.
So China might not be calling all the shots forever. Other players might step up and grab a piece of the action.
Exactly. And that's why it's really interesting to pay attention to what governments are doing, the policies they're putting in place, the investments they're making, not just in places like Germany and the US, but also in developing countries. It all adds up. These moves can really change the game when it comes to the global supply chain.
So it's like, I don't know, a giant game of chess or something. Countries and companies are all making their moves, trying to stay one step ahead. And what they decide to do, it affects everything. Battery prices, which electric cars we can buy, even what kind of cool technology gets developed.
You got it.
Hmm.
And like in chess, it's really about understanding the bigger picture.
Yeah.
It's not just about who's winning right now. It's about who's setting themselves up for the long game.
So we've got to look beyond the headlines and try to figure out the deeper strategy going on behind the scenes.
Exactly. And that brings up another really important thing for everyone listening to keep in mind. It's crucial to pay attention to all the new battery technologies that are being developed. Right now, it's all about lithium-ion, but in the research world, it's buzzing with potential alternatives.
Wait, are you saying there might be something even better than lithium-ion batteries coming down the pipeline? What are these alternatives, and what makes them so great?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Researchers are looking into all sorts of different options, each with their own pluses and minuses. One of the most exciting ones right now is called a solid-state battery. Unlike the lithium-ion batteries we've been talking about, which use a liquid to move the ions around, solid-state batteries use, well, a solid electrolyte.
Okay, so it's a totally different setup inside the battery. But what does that mean in terms of how well they work and are they safer, all that?
And this is where it gets really interesting. Solid-state batteries have the potential to be a lot safer. See, the liquid electrolytes in our typical batteries, they can be flammable. So if the battery gets damaged, there's a fire risk. But with solid electrolytes, that risk is totally gone.
That's a big deal when it comes to safety, especially for something like an electric car. What about performance, though? Any other advantages there with solid state?
You bet. Solid-state batteries have the potential to store way more energy. Imagine your electric car could go twice as far on one charge, or your phone could last for days without needing to be plugged in. That's the kind of game-changing potential we're talking about.
So they're safer, they could be more powerful. If they're so great, why aren't we using them already?
Well, there are a few bumps in the road. Cost is a big one. Right now, making solid-state batteries is way more expensive than lithium-ion. And then there's the challenge of actually making enough of them. I mean, yeah, scientists have made them work in a lab, but mass production for everyday use, that's a whole different ballgame.
So it's like we've got this amazing potential, but we haven't figured out how to make it a reality just yet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well,
But don't get discouraged. Even with those challenges, there's a ton of excitement and money being poured into solid-state battery research. Companies like, Toyota, Samsung, Dyson, they're all racing to be the first to really crack this thing wide open.
it's like the global race for the next big battery breakthrough. Whoever figures it out could change, well, pretty much everything. Electric cars, renewable energy, the whole nine yards.
You said it. And I think for everyone listening, it's important to remember this whole lithium-ion boom, it's just one chapter in this bigger story about the future of energy. And it's a story that's still being written. It's full of surprises, new inventions, technological leaps, you name it.
And it's a story that's happening right now all around us. It's not just for tech people or scientists. This affects everyone. Investors, businesses, politicians, anyone who drives a car, uses technology, cares about the planet.
You hit the nail on the head. This is everyone's story. And the more we all understand about the technology, the challenges, and of course the opportunities, the better prepared we'll be to deal with this crazy, electrifying future.
And on that note, I think it's time to move on to our final thought provocation. Something to really get you thinking, even after this episode is over. All right, so we've taken a deep dive into this lithium-ion battery boom, explored how it's shaking up things like electric vehicles and renewable energy, and even taken a sneak peek at what might be coming next in battery tech. Phew, I feel like I need a battery recharge myself after all that.
It's a lot to take in, that's for sure. From, the demand for batteries going through the roof to the global scramble for lithium, and then trying to figure out how to do it all sustainably, it's mind-boggling.
It really is. And it's easy to feel kind of small, like these massive changes are happening around us and there's not much we can do about it. But you know what? That's not actually true.
Right. That's what we really want people to understand. Every single person listening right now, they're a part of this electrifying future we've been talking about.
That's right. And the choices that we make, even the little ones, they add up and they make a difference. So here's our final thought for you to chew on as we wrap things up.
Imagine, just for a second, a world where electric cars are just normal. Like you see them everywhere, just like gas cars now. And our homes, businesses, everything's powered by clean energy. And blackouts. Yeah. Those are a distant memory because we've got super efficient ways to store all that energy.
It's like we finally figured out how to make things sustainable, how to not be dependent on fossil fuels anymore. It's a pretty exciting picture, don't you think?
It is exciting. But the question we all have to ask ourselves is, what role are you going to play in making it happen?
Will you be the one who's first in line for the new tech, the one driving that electric car, putting solar panels on their roof? Or maybe you'll be the one developing those next generation batteries, or making the rules for a greener future, or building a business in that exploding recycling industry.
There are so many ways to get involved, that's the point. This isn't something that's just happening to us. We all have a part to play in shaping how this all turns out.
I love that. The future isn't something that just happens to us. We get to create it together.
Absolutely. So as we sign off here, we want to leave you with that challenge. Think about the role you want to play in this incredible electrifying future. It's full of challenges, yeah, but it's also full of amazing opportunities.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us for this electrifying journey into the world of lithium-ion batteries. Until next time, keep those amazing questions coming, stay curious, and most importantly, stay charged up about the future.